One day, Edward the Blue Engine was taking some coal trucks from the mines down to the harbour. Edward was excited to have a run on the Farquhar branch. There was a hill before the last station on Thomas's branch. Edward steamed up to the top and was about to head down. Below was a cutting which was often damp. It had been raining the night before. As Edward went downhill, he knew the cutting would be wetter today. Edward saw the flooded track and tried to stop, but going downhill meant it was difficult and he found himself in the flood. The water covered his wheels and had put out his fire. He was now stranded, waiting for someone to help. Soon, Donald and Douglas arrived and carefully pulled Edward out of the water. A few days later, Edward was picking up passengers from Crovan's Gate. Duncan was there. Edward told Duncan about what had happened on the branch line.
"I'm telling you, having wet wheels is definitely not good for any engine," said Edward.
"Pity you're not a narrow gauge engine, then you can stay high and dry while you work up in the mountains on our little railway,"
boasted Duncan. Before Edward could reply, Duncan had already chuffed away, boasting to himself. Later, Duncan was puffing through the mountains, rocking and rolling as usual. But because of this, he jolted off the rails, nearing the edge of the cliff. Thankfully, Duncan was safe and wouldn't fall off. However, he caused some rocks to tumble down the steep cliff. Rusty the little diesel arrived with a crane to put Duncan back on the rails. Duncan thought everything would be fine now. However, he didn't know that the rock slide had caused the river to block. The banks had burst, causing the water to travel downhill. That night, Duncan told his friends about the incident.
"I may have come off the rails, but I stayed calm, and no damage was done. A brave engine I truly am."
He continued to boast until the others fell asleep. When they woke up the next morning, they were in for a big surprise. They found out that the shed was flooded.
"What on earth?"
cried Sir Handel.
"How did the shed get flooded?"
questioned Duke. Duncan remembered the rock slide he caused and realised what happened. He didn't tell the others, but just looked sheepishly at his buffers. Workmen were called to drain the river, but it took a while for the sheds to dry up. The next week, Edward met Duncan at the station again. He had heard about Duncan's incident and the sheds flooding.
"Well, Duncan, you little engines do indeed work high, but it doesn't seem that dry."
Duncan said nothing and just grumbled away.